Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Raphael Trotman, Cabinet colleagues, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Our presence here tonight recognizes the July 4th event commemorating the birth of the American nation. Guyana joins the rest of the world in recognizing that historic event. Since 1776, the American state has succeeded in making unprecedented impacts on the rest of the world, justifying its claim to be a superpower. Over those years, its hegemony has been minimally challenged, as its political and military might has no equal among countries. Ambassador Hart, I've listened to your remarks very keenly. I cannot help but think of how some of what you said applied to Guyana. For a very long time, we were a country that lacked free and fair elections. And thanks to your good record keeping and declassification of documents, we've confirmed that those national elections were intentionally prevented by external forces, effectively retarding the development of Guyana and the democratic process for many decades. Unfortunately, we hadn't a few burnt hearts back then that could speak with the same passion to those governments who undermined the democratic process in Guyana. Your point about King George suspending legislatures and the British Parliament declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for Americans in all cases whatsoever made me smile. We have a situation today where international rule-making by the powerful countries is anything but democratic. The Security Council, for example, is an excellent demonstration of the lack of democracy. There appears to be little appetite by those who control that council for any reform. Excellency, it would be remiss of me if I did not mention that even though we're an independent nation and not a colony of any state, laws made in the United States of America apply in our countries. We are advised that if we do not comply, we will be sanctioned. For example, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, FATCA. There was no consultation with any of our countries before that law was passed, but we have to comply. Our banks in Guyana will soon have to provide information to the United States government on bank accounts held by U.S. citizens in this country. Of course, we don't have the strength or the power that your people had in those early days to fight against King George, so we have to comply with what Big Brother wants, regardless of how difficult those impositions are for our fledgling private sector. Lest the big stick is used against us. In this regard, I cannot help but mention that one of our sister CARICOM nations, in a law-abiding country, Antigua and Barbuda, that has secured a ruling in its favor by the WTO, World Trade Organization, is still waiting for the United States of America to abide with that ruling. Needless to say, small Antigua and Barbuda cannot apply sanctions. We would agree that democracy and rule of law is not only about local government elections, which I'm confident the Guyanese people will resolve in the very near future, but must be practiced by all who choose to preach it at all times. Guyana, like so many other countries of the world, has been one stage on which American hegemony has played out, and its 1950 and 1960 events live long in the memories of Guyanese. The occasion is mine tonight to reflect specifically on the activities of the representative of the U.S. government here, Ambassador Brent Hart. Less than 3 years ago, Ambassador Hart was made welcome to Guyana. During those years of his posting in Guyana, Ambassador Hart has contributed to a tension-filled relationship with the government of Guyana. These areas of tense relationships have attracted considerable efforts on our part to address oftentimes without much success. Ambassador Hart's most recent assault on the President and government of Guyana and his remarks to the recently created NGO, the Blue Caps, has, in our judgment, gone beyond the boundaries of professionalism and diplomacy. For a professional foreign service office with the appointment of an ambassador to make such declarations, accusations, allegations, and innuendos about the executive president of Guyana, or of any country for that matter, is, to our mind, totally unacceptable. As one reads his diatribe against our president, our outrage mounts at the liberties he has taken with diplomatic conventions, commitment to accuracy, and sense of occasion. This situation, I report, is intolerable. The ambassador has been associated with a dedicated attack on the president and the government on the holding of local government elections. The ambassador has been supported in this ill-conceived venture by the opposition section of the media and his colleagues in the diplomatic corps. We have not lost any efforts in correcting their hopelessly jaundiced views of this situation. His superficial grasp is revealed by his misinformation about the bill. Worse yet is his reluctance to have views of the hosting of local government elections corroborated by other knowledgeable stakeholders other than the chairman of GCOM. The ambassador's behavior is totally unacceptable. It is this government's pledge that it will not accept such. The superpower status of the United States is acknowledged. Ambassador Brent has probably presented America's credentials as a model nation for the rest of the world. His reported declarations to the Blue Cap NGO made in his presentation unreservedly laud America and its democratic norms and practices. All of us here know better. Among us here, the memory of 1950 to 1960 U.S. interference in Guyana persists. All of us here are daily reminded of the consequences of America's zeal to democratize the world. And the consequences, and the people of Guyana live those consequences until today. Those consequences question the ambassador's moral correctness in lecturing Guyana, and for that matter, the rest of the world. For the Guyana government, his nuanced resort to justifying insurrection in his remarks to the NGO Blue Caps and here tonight is profoundly disturbing. A collection of young minds being invited to such a mindset for future engagement with an elected government warrants or immediate repudiation. Like his president, Barack Obama, there exists a red line. This ambassador has crossed that line. Unlike his president, we are resolved, we have resolved, and we so advise our partners with whom we share conventions and diplomatic relations that this is our red line. Behavior such as this would not be tolerated within the boundaries of mutual respect, diplomatic relations, and intergovernment collaboration. In closing, we extend warmest greetings and congratulations to President Obama and the people of America on this historic occasion. I thank you. To propose a toast to the President of America and the people of the United States of America. Happy Independence.